is Mael Triviño, and this is the Millennial Way Show. Today we have a special guest. We are actually in Agent 2020 event, and we have the pleasure to be right now with Natasha Lekwa. Natasha is the editor for Snapchat from Forbes magazine. I had no idea personally, Natasha, that Forbes had actually somebody directly focused and targeting Snapchat. Welcome, and thank you very much for being with us in the Millennial Way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Snapchat, it's such an interesting platform, and that they would even bring on someone to do Snapchat stories, and it's such an innovative platform. I started about 2.5 years ago, and Forbes, I would hope you guys are familiar with it, but Forbes,
we are.
Forbes is a 100-year-old company. We had our centennial last year, and the fact that we want to innovate and we want to push forward and do something like Snapchat and be very innovative within the social space and within all of the new platforms and trends and things coming out was so inspiring to me and was something that I really wanted to be a part of. A funny story about how I even got the job, which I think is fun to share, was I saw this posting on LinkedIn, which is, I was freelancing at the time and was looking for...
Let's say that LinkedIn is a social media, but which average of age of people is like, because Snapchat, I would say,
is young.
You correct me,
yes.
Is younger generation.
Yes. Snapchat skews younger. LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is very specific in terms of job hunting, which at the time I was freelancing, but looking for a full-time position that was a good fit. What was interesting there was when I saw this post as I was job hunting was Snapchat at Forbes. I was like, that's so cool. Like, who would think that Forbes, a business magazine, would have a Snapchat editor in itself? So I was like, that's the job that I want. So I dedicated myself. I saw the posting. I storyboarded out this whole story, and I made a campaign for myself called Dear Forbes, Hire Natasha. And
that campaign was where? In Facebook?
It was.
Where you put it?
All platforms. So I created my own Snapchat, a new Snapchat account aside from my personal, an Instagram account, an email, and I storyboarded out this whole story. Did a Snapchat story, essentially like I would if I were to get the job, and really campaigned myself. Then immediately after I finished filming, I spent a full day filming. I stalked everyone on every social platform, which
we are also familiar with that.
Yes. Stalking is a great tool on social media.
Actually, we had Gary like that.
Yeah.
DM material.
It's research. It's research. Yeah. That's essentially what stalking is on social. But so I stalked everyone on the social team, and I messaged them, hey, this is up for the next 24 hours. I'm super interested in this position, and it's up for this short amount of time, which created urgency. So I was doing the job before I got the job, created a sense of urgency, and essentially bypassed the level of hiring that some people encounter with HR. So I think that's an innovative way and an example of how to get a job, but it worked. So here I am.
It's amazing, and here you are.
And here we are in Miami as well.
Well, Natasha, one of the major events here in the Hard Rock Stadium, inside Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida, was actually your two keynote speakers.
So I moderated two panels.
Tell us a little bit about these panels.
So I moderated two panels on influencer marketing, and one was in travel and one was in auto. And obviously those two areas are very different. But the thing about influencer marketing is there's no rules, which makes it very exciting. It makes it exciting. It also makes it hard because there's nothing to define. There's no rules. There's benchmarks, of course, but a lot of what it is it comes down to testing what works for you, what works for your platform, what works for your audience, and what you're trying to do, what your goals are, and how you want to measure those. So it was interesting to compare the two industries and see what all of the influential people on my panel have.
For the travel industry, which will be your best advice to maximize the social media experiences and to increase the business or to increase their exposure of travel industry by itself?
I would say micro-influencers. I think a lot of people, when they think influencers, they think of, the highest level, the people who have millions and millions of followers. But so much can be done with micro-influencers and really targeting specific
For
people.
the people that doesn't know what's micro-influencer, what would be the average or the range?
It depends on who you ask again, I think.
For you?
I would determine a micro-influencer 10,000 and below, but again, it also is with engagement and how you see the influencer interact with their following and how their following interacts with their content. But when it comes to micro-influencers, especially within the travel space, there's so many pockets and niche markets that you can find and infiltrate and leverage those people's small following but very, very interested following and use that to your advantage.
Amazing. Well, I know that you have to wrap up a little bit, so what will be, Natasha, your best advice to all these new generation of entrepreneurs that are actually trying to use this social media, innovation in social media to succeed, to become a better entrepreneur or become a better business person, become a better person, how social media can impact your life, and what would be that advice to these new generations?
So I think there's two big pieces of advice, and one is a theme that's come up a ton today, is be authentic and really stick to content that you feel like is authentic with yourself and how you want to be presenting yourself and what you feel like is truly you. Authenticity is what people are drawn to. It's how you grow. It's how you build on top of what you already created. And the second thing is to experiment. I work for an 100-year-old company, but we experiment constantly. We see what works. We do weekly reporting, we do monthly reporting. We learn from what we've done, and that influences how we move forward and how we alter things to make it better and improve upon it. So really just staying tuned to what you're doing and how you can improve upon that, but experimenting constantly.
In your point of view, patience or speed?
Patience or speed? Oof.
Or balancing both?
I think it's balancing both. I think I used to be a perfectionist, and I think that makes it hard because you can always make something better. You can always improve upon something, but that hinders you when you aren't able to actually get it out the door on time. So I think balancing both is super important, but having patience when it comes to growing platforms. Growing platforms isn't something that happens overnight, and I think a lot of people realize that as they start to utilize social media, but the mixture of both.
Natasha Lekwa, Forbes Snapchat editor, a pleasure and an honor to have you on the Millennial Way Show. We really appreciate your time.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
me. Yes.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.